Yes, and welcome everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Klare. It's March 27th, 2018. Cannabis News is presented by Marijuana Times. The Marijuana Times. Go check us out over there. Every episode of this show you can find there. You find a bunch of great articles by a bunch of great writers by the cannabis community, industry, and beyond. MarijuanaTimes.org. It is the best. I'm not just saying that because I am an employee and I do host this show for the Marijuana Times. It's the best. If you can't trust a guy wearing a hat that says "Make Cannabis Great Again," who can you trust? I don't know. That was a rhetorical question. Today, we're talking about an insurance company had to make a huge payout to a marijuana grower who had his crops damaged by the California wildfires last year. Also, some of you may remember Iowa State and their battle with their chapter of NORML over putting a marijuana leaf symbol on their T-shirts. There's a whole big thing. It's been going on for years and years. Well, there's a big payout in that as well, and a delay in Arkansas when it comes to medical marijuana and the medical marijuana program there. How long of a delay? Well, we will see and get into all the particulars coming up. But first, of course, I'll tell you the Marijuana Time Show, Cannabis News rather, with Joe Klare is brought to you by NatureSideCannabis.com. Natureside products are all natural and organic and are safe for everyday use. They're approved for pesticide use in cannabis cultivations in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. Grow safe and poison-free with Natureside Cannabis and their line of products. Be regulatory compliant as well. NatureSideCannabis.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News with Joe Klare. Side is spelled C-I-D-E when it comes to NatureSideCannabis.com. First story is over at MarijuanaTimes.org, written by yours truly. Insurance company makes a $1 million payment to a marijuana grower whose crops were destroyed. Cannabis farmer in Carpinteria, California, got the payout from their insurance company in excess of $1 million to compensate for their marijuana crop that was damaged last year during the Northern California wildfires. Their insurance broker, Brown & Brown Insurance, now has about 20 cannabis cultivator clients in the Carpinteria and Lompoc area, and they expect millions more in payments to their clients who have had crops damaged. The farmer who recently won the above-mentioned payout, basically they had their crops in greenhouses, and the ash from the fire landed on their crops and contaminated them. When the cannabis from the crops was tested, it came back with high levels of asbestos, lead, arsenic, and magnesium, all things you don't want to have on your marijuana crop. Now, the carrier that's making the payout is based in London, England, and they have decided that because of all these payouts that they're going to have to make, and this $1 million here, that they are no longer going to cover cannabis growers. So Brown & Brown Insurance, the broker, is looking for other carriers in Europe. They'll take on cannabis growers. Of course, none in the United States are going to do it because of federal illegality. Like I said, you can go check that story out over at MarijuanaTimes.org. This next story is from USNews.com. Iowa State University's unconstitutional crackdown on a pro-marijuana students group. The group's T-shirts will cost the state taxpayers nearly $1 million in legal fees and damages. Yes, you heard that correctly. Court documents indicate a judge approved a $598,208 in attorney's fees and costs. The amount is in addition to payments the state agreed to in January to settle the case, including $75,000 each to Paul Gerlich and Aaron Furley, the students who filed the lawsuit in 2014, and $193,000 to their lawyers in federal courts appeals. The total is about $940,000. Does not include work by the Iowa Attorney General's office, which represented Iowa State University administrators. The cost stemmed from a politically motivated attempt by university administrators in 2012 to block T-shirt designs that featured the ISU mascot and a marijuana leaf. It was the college's NORML chapter, and they wouldn't make those T-shirts, and the school said no, and they said, well, it's our First Amendment right, and our right of free speech, and Iowa State said no. So there was lawsuits, and of course Iowa State lost, and now are paying out a ton of money that the taxpayers in Iowa are on the hook for because of bad decisions by the administrators at Iowa State University. This last story comes from ArkansasOnline.com. Judge rules state's licensing process for first medical marijuana growers was unconstitutional. You may remember a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, we told you about the first 5 growers' licenses being allowed and awarded for medical marijuana growing in Arkansas. Now, a Pulaski County Circuit Judge has declared Arkansas's licensing process for its first 5 medical marijuana growing facilities unconstitutional, according to an order by Judge Wendell Griffin. He granted a disgruntled growing permit applicant's request for a preliminary injunction and declaratory judgment, saying, quote, the licensing decisions and rankings rendered by the Medical Marijuana Commission must not stand and are hereby declared null and void. Griffin sided with Naturalist Health LLC on several arguments the company made in a lawsuit. Specifically, Griffin said the State Alcohol Beverage Control Division failed to verify key facts about whether some facilities were in compliance with state regulations. Griffin said the process for awarding the licenses was compromised by potential conflicts of interest by commissioners who scored the applications, including one whose law firm represents the owners of one of the facilities that was going to receive a license in a non-marijuana related matter. Another commissioner is a physician who routinely refers patients to the medical practice, and another doctor who is part owner of a cultivation facility. So in other words, a lot of problems with what's going on in Arkansas and medical marijuana and the program getting going. Griffin said he takes no joy in blocking the state from issuing the licenses. He said, quote, the prospect that Arkansans must now endure more delay before gaining much needed access to locally grown medical marijuana should be unpleasant to anyone concerned about providing relief to people who suffer from serious illnesses, which is very true. There's yet another delay in Arkansas when it comes to the medical marijuana program there. So the patients there who have been waiting and hoping that maybe now when they heard that the 5 growers were awarded, say, well, now we can finally start growing the product that will end up in the dispensaries that they can get with their doctor's recommendation. But all of that has been brought to a screeching halt because the people awarding the licenses in Arkansas apparently didn't do a great job and didn't watch for conflicts of interest, kind of like what's going on in Ohio with the medical marijuana program there. Same type of situation. As of yet, there really hasn't been a delay in Ohio, but there's going to be lawsuits and legal wrangling for years to come, even if the medical marijuana program in Ohio does get up and running. It's really, as I've said many, many times before, the worst thing about legalization is the fact that people in government who know nothing about cannabis, and many of them didn't want cannabis to be legal, whether for medical or recreational purposes to begin with, these are the people implementing these policies, and that's going to create a lot of problems. You add the fact that, like I said, a lot of them didn't want marijuana to be legal. They don't agree with it. Add into that government bureaucratic incompetence that goes with anything the government does. And add to that lack of knowledge specifically about cannabis, the cannabis industry, the things they're supposed to be regulating and awarding licenses for. And you just have a real cluster F of problems that is going to come with legalization. But again, we'll look back and we'll see what's going on. And we'll always say to ourselves, well, this is better than prohibition. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that it could be better, period. It is better than prohibition, but it could also be better than it is right now, whether that's legalization, implementation, or whatever. It could be much, much better, and we can never stop fighting for it to be better. And that is what we do right here on Cannabis News with Joe Klare 5 days a week. Thanks to everybody who watches and likes and shares and comments the videos on the videos. Go check them out at marijuanatimes.org. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts to find the show. As I said, go check out marijuanatimes.org. Great articles, great videos of this show, and more. Check them out. And MakeCannabisGreatAgain.com. Get the hat. It is awesome. And again, not just because I'm wearing one. It's awesome even if I wasn't wearing it. If it was hanging somewhere or it was on someone else's head, it would be just as awesome. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. We'll see you tomorrow on Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's March 27th, 2018. Thanks, everybody.